with this. So first, thank you very much for making it in our deep dive webinar for the 1.10 release. So basically the goals of this deep dive webinars is that we go over the new features and show how you use them, what are the edge cases. Let me first go with my new feature that we have in here. Well, it's maybe one of the smallest, but it was asked quite a lot to it. It actually that you can display the forces in Vectorworks in the label as a weight in here. So now every time you're moving it, you see it's actually giving you a new weight in here. Currently, it's doing this in kilogram because I'm in a matrix drawing. If I'm in an imperial drawing, it will automatically do this in pound with this kind of thing. In order to activate this, you need to go to File, you need to go to Settings, and then in the Vectorworks settings, there is this display hoist result in weight. If this is enabled, it will display all the results always in kilogram or pound, depending in which region you are in with this. Another thing that is actually quite nice for this is show hook force as load result. So by default, the hoist always shows the roof force. So the roof force is, I quickly switch to 3D, is the force that basically goes into the roof. So it is the load that is attached to the hoist in addition to the dead load of the hoist itself. So sometimes that's not what you want, especially when you're working in menus with this. So for this is the show hook force as load result. And then basically when you do this, I activated real quick with this. It will actually then show you the result based on without the actual dead load of this kind of thing. And then is updating you the results on this with this kind of thing. It's a pretty easy thing to do, so it's nothing really special with this, but it really helps you with this. We had some of our customers that actually then did this all by hand and changed all the labels with this. This is not longer needed anymore. You basically just can change this in here. Then in this drawing, let's step to the next feature, which is the area loads. So long requested feature is that you are able to basically define a shape that you have that you want to rig in here. So like a plywood or whatever, you're going in here and edit it like this as a load. With the 1.10 release, this is possible with this. In order to use it, you need to draw a polygon with this. It could be also a curved polygon and stuff like this. So basically any polygon shape is possible. And then you go to File, Vectorworks integration, and then that's a little bit fuzzy. We actually fixed this in the next version, but not for this one. You click on the Import 2D plan. If I'm importing the 2D plan, you see also in Production Assist, this polygon will be taken over in here. And now when I'm going in here, selecting it, I can go to the structural properties, and there is this use as area load plane. If I'm activating this for new calculations, so if I'm giving in here a weight by like 50 kilos or stuff like this, you see immediately it actually updates you the calculation results with this and gives you a new count on this, how this is. Even if you move it now around with this, you see, well, let me delete the polygon first with this. So once you have converted, it will be also shown as a polygon, as a production assist object. Let me send this to the back. So it's a little bit easier to send to back. So you either can move it around in here with this, and you see every time you're doing this, you're getting a new calculation results, or you can do the same thing in here with this so that it's automatically showing you the new results with this kind of things. There is one more thing that you can do with this. If you don't, well, let me show this. I'm deleting this again. I'm creating the polygon with this again. So I create a really easy polygon this time that looks like this. And when I'm now going into here and make a symbol out of this, create symbol, yeah, like this, the symbol automatically will be recognized. So another update from the Production Assist 1.10 is that I also can have the symbols in here. Well, I can do the exact same thing, going to structural, go to the area loads, basically can type in an area load, and you see that's also possible. So this will come in handy, this kind of feature, that you also can add this to Symbol when we're talking about the scaffolding structures, basically, because a lot of this is layer based with this. And then every time you're changing the settings in here, it kind of updates you the weight and gives you new settings with this in here. Let's start real easy with this in here. And in order to make this really useful, I need to create a specific layer. So there is now in the file setting structure a layer map that allows you which layer basically will be used for structural calculation. So you see there are several layers predefined in here, for example, the SCAD mesh with this. So if some lines are drawn on the SCAD mesh and are inside a symbol, they will be used as structural calculation lines with this. Let me quickly show you what is possible with this. So I create a class, which I called SCAD minus math with this, so that I have this. I make this class active, and then I draw a really simple structure in here, like this. It's nothing too fancy with this. That's not the goal with this, but just that I have the 3 lines. Again, I go and modify, create symbol, create a symbol out of this. Okay. And when doing this, you see immediately this symbol get recognized as a structure in here with these kind of things in there. So, and it says you the load has no weights. Well, pretty obvious. It doesn't have a weight, so that's given a weight by 30. And let us add some supports in here. So you can either use the hoist or any other support that we have with Production Assist. Clicking in here, adding it 1, 2, and 3. And there you go. It shows you the calculation results for this specific triangle in here. So all the things that you can do with trusses, you now also can do with these kind of things in here. So if you going in here, it even shows you a workload on this. So how much is used. If I'm now going into here and adding a load with this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see it's updates and it's calculating you. It's 65% workload. So let me bump a little bit this this results with this, so that the force is a little bit higher, that we get it red, like 150 kilos, and you see it becomes red and says it's overloaded with these kind of things. The magic behind of this happens really that you put specific line on specific layers and actually can do this kind of things in here to do the calculation. The first thing what you can do with this is like any kind of decoration element that you want to rig. You basically just need to draw the lines. They also can be in 3D, and then you immediately can calculate them as a structure in there. That's pretty handy with this, but there are some other use cases that I wanted to show for it. So I know that there's a lightning pipe tool that is already supported by Production Assist, but there's also the option now with this feature that I just showed to you, well, F in here, to basically put in such a lightning pipe letter. If you look on here, this lightning pipes consists of 2D slash 3D symbols. So just a normal symbol that someone has created in here. But the magic then happens, and if you jump into this with the 3D component, is that the user, let me hide the truss in here, has basically created the lines on specific layers that now will be used for the calculation of this. So if you look on really deep, you see even the the external pieces, so that increase the load on the middle truss, actually can be calculated for this. So if you have like this kind of special construction lightning pipe that you want to attach to each other, you just need to add the lines at the specific layers, and then you will be able to calculate it. You see, now I turn this on. It's even doing this in here with the actual hoists in here. So it can be connected with the top truss in here as a normal structure, as you now also can attach structure to the side of it. So if you're now going in here, well, let me move the none layer to the back so it looks a little bit nicer in here. So if you're now showing the labels with this, show ID label, it gives you the count, how much force is in here. And then if you're going in here and increase the load by the fixture, I think this is, well, yeah, well, let's do this over Production Assist. It's very easier to find. So in the Production Assist, I go in I select this down here, go to the structural thing and say now it should be like 900 kilograms. I'm changing it. You see it immediately updates me this calculation value, shows me if it's still good or not. Well, 900 kilo are quite some load that you can attach in here and basically updates the calculation right away with this. Ian, you have a question with this. Sorry.
No, it's just a question about the line measurements. What finite element analysis basis is used for those pipes? Is it Schedule 40 pipe, Schedule 80 pipe?
Oh, wait, let me show you this. This is depending on the cross section that you assign to the layer with this. So if you're going to the settings in here, you see in the SCAD mass what we released, it's a steel pipe S48, 48 millimeters and a 5 millimeter wall thickness. If you want to use the schedule pipes, they are also in here if I find them. Yes, there are schedule 80. So all the schedule pipes are also in here that you can select. So basically by selecting a specific class for these kind of layers, for these kind of objects, you define the cross section with this. There's more to it with these kind of things, what you can do with this feature. So the next thing that we will have a look on is like an LED wall with this. So the LED wall in here basically looks like this, and you see it consists out of multiple 3D symbols in here. So what the customer has done before was basically using point loads and attaching them to a position, but it's a really bad workflow because you actually cannot really calculate it. So if you ungroup the high level object and actually use a symbol in here, what you can do is you can calculate the complete LED wall and the individual attachment. And then basically for the LED wall, you would do the exact same thing. So based on this, you would draw a line that goes from here to here. And then you draw a line that goes from here to here and tell them basically that is this. Now it's a symbol. This line will be copied to all the other things. And same thing here with the basically dead hangs with this. You draw one line that goes from here to here, add it to the top symbol, and then basically in here, now this is a little bit tricky in Vectorworks sometimes, you draw the line up with this. Well, if Vectorworks would allow me to draw it now like this. So that would be basically the steps that you can do. So this kind of structural calculation feature with the symbols allows you to do like every symbol that you have to add the structural properties to it that you can use in order to calculate it with it. So that's really a good thing to do. That's just the ideas that I have with it. But basically any symbol now can be used for structural calculation internally for this kind of thing. So I think there are a lot of use cases that we currently do not think about it. Well, maybe one of the most interesting use cases by this is the layer integration that we have found with it, because this basically works on a pretty similar basis with this. So what you're seeing in here is a layer system that has been defined in here, and the way how this is defined, that it's composed out of individual pieces in here. Currently, I've turned on the 3D pieces. So, but if I'm going in here and hide the 3D part of it, well, and if I hide the production assist stuff of it, you actually see that the layer structures also consist of a lot of lines internally. So basically the same technique that we have for the lightning pipes and for the LED scheme can be used for this kind of modeling in here. So if you're seeing it in here, it's a lot of lines that are defining it and that allow you to connect this. An interesting part, and well, to some level you can see it. I just select this in here. You see that the diagonals that like kind of an offset from the center line in there. That is also something that you need to draw in here, and then you can actually do the complete structural calculation on this, and can get a we have it here, the structures. With this, can get the complete calculation result, and it also checks this in here. So these kind of structures are now also can be used together with the wind load tool that we have. So if you're now going in here and basically creating a wind load plane for this, so it's either possible with drawing it in Vectorworks or if you click on new object, the array tool, and you want the polygon for this. And then you can basically tell, hey, I want to draw a line from here to here to here, wait, to here, to here, and then to here, so that you basically create a polygon that can be used for this. I will close this now, just mainly for the purpose that it's easier. Wait, that was the wrong thing that I just edited with this. So I wanted to edit the polygon with this in here. So select the polygon with this. Edit defining resource. So that's a polygon. I select this. And I want it to be filled just that it's easier to see. There's nothing really special about the filling. That is not a requirement to make it as a wind load target in here, but it helps. So basically now this specific thing has a plane in here that actually catches wind with this. So as a next step, what I will do is I will tell him that it is a wind load plane. So activate this. And then I will go to the calculation results with this and actually check the, where we have it, calculation results. I disabled the real-time calculation with this. Let me delete them quickly. So calculation results, I want to show the wind load direction. So currently the wind is coming from this direction, and I want to see the deflection figure with this. Now you see this acts as a wind load plane. So basically this in here is catching more wind than the other part, and actually would tilt my structure in here with this kind of things. When looking into D in the Vectorworks, it actually shows you where the load is coming from and stuff like this. So it gives you a lot of feedback on this kind of things and doing this. As this is now all like symbol based in here, it is really easy. So the question is, what does happen if we delete this object in here? So I'm selecting it. I also can select it in Vectorworks, delete it, and it will immediately trigger a recalculation with this. And then you get the new deflection figure, and all the workload and stuff like this will be updated. You see it's also shown in 3D. Let me add the SCAD in here with this. And you can basically say, okay, what happens if I'm deleting this and stuff like this? Or you can add multiple things in here with this. Obviously, the requirement for this is to have a proper vector, a proper Layher library with this. So we are currently in the process of streamlining our Layher library, which we will release into conjunction with this next year, so that you actually can draw the Layher stuff. So that then contains the actual like guide rails, all the tubes and stuff like this, so that you actually can do the calculation for this in here. That actually allows you to add point loads at like columns in here. So what we're seeing in here, there are multiple columns with this. I select them all, and I have now a new tool which says create point load in here. If I'm creating the point load, it allows me to define, well, how much direction load I want to have, if it's defined by the coordinate system of the element or about the global coordinate system. So we want to use the global one. So I use like 5 kilonewton in Y direction in here. And I can use, for example, define the load by height. And I said at 1.6 meters. So that's basically the crush point for trusses. If you want to calculate this, you press OK, and then it adds this. And then basically you can check the tilting of all of this. So you see for all the trusses, it just have added at the right height for this kind of things. That is especially helpful if you're doing indoor calculations for trade buses in here with this kind of things. Well, you see it's also shown in production assisted load with here and used for the calculation of this. And you can do the clipping calculation with this. Issue that we see with structural calculation, and we're doing this now for 10 years, is that people are not adding enough loads to their structure when they calculate it. The bad thing about this is, in the process, nobody really sees this. So there actually have been mistakes and errors where people just don't assume enough weight. So one typical thing that you're doing in here in production assist and with the calculation is that you use a calculation visible with this. So basically there's this eye feature where you can turn on the eye, and then only when the eye is turned on, you can go into the layers and hide, for example, the load layers. And then you see if I'm hiding the load layer, it's really easy to turn off and on these things. The problem with this is a little bit, when doing this, it's a visibility settings, and that is something that is done also with other processes in there. So it's really easy to forget to turn on specific layers in here in order to do your structural calculation. So that's why we have added a new way of basically telling objects to be not part of the calculation with this. And that is this feature in here. If you go to the production assist layers, the pause button in here. So if I'm now going into here, showing the loads and hitting the pause button on this, actually all of the loads will not go into the calculation. The same thing, I have one truss in here. I also can just turn this off, and then it will be not part of the calculation was on this layer. So it is not a complete solution to this, so it doesn't take away for you that you actually need to check what's going on, but it really helps you with doing this in a more precise way without getting in problems when doing this in the process and changing something later. One thing that you need to have in mind, normally these kind of changes happen last minute under a lot of pressure, where you also need to do another thing. So it's really error prone, the current process. So that's why we have the eye, and now we have the layer pause button in here. That helps quite a lot. So with the 1.10 release, installation of Vectorworks plugins, AutoCAD plugins, and Breakout plugin is just as easy as installing the app, and then click on the install Vectorworks. It automatically recognizes which version of Vectorworks you have, and then basically installs it in there. You don't need any knowledge about the folder structure in Vectorworks. You don't need administrator privileges and stuff like this. It's only adding this to the user folder in there. And the nice thing, it also takes care of updating in there. So when there's a new update for the 1.10, it actually will start the app in the background, and the app will take care about updating the plugins. So that's a really easy way of updating it. We saw there a lot of error potential. So there are some support calls that we got just for my Vectorworks is not working because, or my production system is not working because I didn't install it properly with this. So with the Production Assist 1.10, we have completely reworked the electrical network system and the data network display in here. So the reason for this was it is really challenging with the old way in order to especially did larger files with this, and we wanted to give you an opinion, a way of working basically that makes it a little bit easier. So the way how now this looks like is that it's basically a little bit more like graphical orientated in there. It shows you each of the plug boxes that are in there. It shows you the fixture IDs. It shows you the resulting faces. It even has a graph that shows you which connector it is, what is the cross section, the gauge of it, and how long is the cable that is attached to it. And now every time you changing a fixture in here, so if you're putting this in here, you can basically repatch it with this. So I'm moving it from 3 to 4. You will see, so it's now updating you. So it's calculating you the new phase it has and stuff like this. And would also, if the plug box would be a different one, would calculate the new cable with this. If you click on the data lines, all the data lines that have so the network connection are also shown in here. So on a really easy level, you now can connect the 5-pin input to the 5-pin output in here. And it also shows you this kind of things in here with this. And that helps you really to get an overview of this. We also now synchronize the selection. So if you select something inside the electrical network, it would be selected in the production assist, normal thing, and the other way around. So if you're selecting something in here with this, it also will be selected in here and shown that this is part of the selection with this, which tremendously helped navigating around with this. We also changed a little bit the label printing. It's nothing too deep, but it's really helpful to do it with this. And it has a lot of consequences, especially on distributors and like Plugboxes and breakouts with this. So if we go into the resource manager, you can go now in there with the labels and background and select the Plugbox label background. What you now can do is you can define that you want to have a specific connection of a specific number in here. That sounds a little bit strange with this, but it's really easy. So I can define that this field only should report the position 2 of the electrical connections with this. So this would be the first output. Then this is set up that it's reporting the position 3 with this, which is the second output, and so on. So basically, I can do really simple labels for plug boxes that shows me all the connection. If I'm loading in the image from a breaker thing, I also can add a breaker label that I actually can attach to the breakers on a distributor in here. So that's really a workflow improvement and helps you create fancy labels in here. So if I'm selecting, for example, like this plug box, selecting file, create print label PDF, I can say the plug box only for the selected object as we only get one exported, and then it will show me which fixtures are connected onto this specific plug box output. Well, together with the QR code so that you can scan it on site and actually can. For this version, we also added the SCAD support in here. So if you're in SCAD and drawing a rig, for example, like this, it's automatically also calculated with production assist. So I have here the truss, and if I'm now starting to move it around, you see it's also updating me the calculation, stuff like this. If I'm going to the 3D view, I can see the workload, I can see the bending moment. If I'm adding like fixtures, I also get automatically new calculation results with this. So all the things that are done with the normal production assist version or the Vectorworks version are also available now in the SCAD in here with this kind of thing. It's currently in beta, so we are still testing this a lot with this. There are many workflows that we need to consider. Workflow basically is really easy. So if you're selecting a thing in here, adding it, will also add it in Production Assist. And if you then, well, go in here, where do we have the a hoist with this that has been mapped? So I can just click on this same thing in here with this kind of things, and it does the calculation as well with this.